John Whittle, fresh off of the I-20 trek to the Magnolia State this weekend to cover the Gamecocks as they lost another series to Mississippi State. But, John, first and foremost, happy spring. Let me ask you a question. Where does the month of April fall in the sports calendar? If you had to rank all 12 months, where's it rank?
High for sure. You got that thing in the background that I've never been to that is like the one sporting event left on my bucket list that I haven't made, or I won't say the top.
The top.
Yeah, and Hale's there today, so
he's going to deal with some rain today.
Yeah. I don't know how much he'll get to see today, but hopefully a little bit. But that's one spot where I want to go. But Final Four, baseball getting going. I mean,
NFL draft.
Yeah.
Yep. You got Masters, Final Fours, NFL draft, Major League Baseball. You got
essentially
NBA.
Opening day. I know technically it started in March, but it's opening week.
Yeah,
in Major League Baseball.
They should always start it in April, but
I agree.
That's for another day.
Yeah.
If you follow the NHL and the NBA, how much do we put into? Well, spring games don't matter anymore. They don't even have them. Don't even play them, so that doesn't matter. That's off the radar. So, what's the best month? October. I think October's the best month personally.
We had Darlington yesterday, right?
Darlington. Yeah.
Bristol next week.
Is Bristol next week? Gosh, it might be. I don't know. I can't keep up with all these sports, John. I only have one head.
John,
brain.
you could go all Phil Kornblut on us and give us the qualifying times and the starting position for every upcoming NASCAR race.
I can't. Now I used to might be able to. There was like a 4 or 5 year time frame, like right as I was finishing up college, where I really enjoyed NASCAR. And then I just didn't a switch just kind of flipped. But I do know that Darlington was, this past weekend. Don't know who won. But I know that was this past weekend.
Is Kerry Tharp still working with them?
Well, he's not the president anymore.
Oh no. Okay.
No, it's shoot. I can't remember the guy's name.
No, that's not Kerry Tharp, for those that don't know, and I'm sure a lot of people will remember this. He's a longtime sports information director at Carolina and did a really good job, but then left for a job to run Darlington, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the exact title was, president or
he was the president.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I saw him post a picture of this past Darlington, so I know he was there, but I don't know what his capacity was.
Well, I think he'll always probably be wherever he wants to be. When you're a former president of an race, you kind of do it. Right. Josh Harris, there you go, Bruin. Thank you.
Okay.
And by the way, Denny Hamlin did win it yesterday, John, just to kind of help you out in your reporting there before you write your column.
Very good. Yeah. He used to be a teammate of my old driver. I was a Tony Stewart guy. Him and Tony or Denny and Tony were part of Joe Gibbs Racing, and I can't remember who the other one was. JJ something or another, maybe. I don't know. Doesn't matter. They had 3 cars in that crew, in that Joe Gibbs Racing at the time. But
this will be on Big Spur on Thursday, right? You'll break this all down, push pin it.
Well, I was kind of reflecting, and this is what I think is probably a good segue. I was reflecting, the other day that the first time the Gamecocks were in the Final Four down in Tampa, I was actually making my trip down to Tampa from Starkville. South Carolina had a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series against Mississippi State, and then the Final Four that year was the women played their Final Four game on Sunday, and then the championship on Tuesday. So I went and covered the baseball series in Starkville Thursday to Saturday, and then drove down through. I don't even know where the heck I was.
I don't know how you got there.
I did drive through Tallahassee. That's the one time I've ever been to Tallahassee in my life. Nice. Drove down through the night to get to the Final Four, cover those games that next day. So
well, you must have gone south to I-10 and then just went east on I-10 and then down from there. I would imagine. I don't know, John.
That sounds right.
Though I hat tip to you, my friend. I have a lot of respect for all your driving skills. You've seen everything. Real quick here. Obviously the women's season is over. Dawn mentioned yesterday they're going to the portal. They're going to look for experience in the portal. We're going to transition this to the men here in just a second. I just pointed out that they only had 3 transfers on the team, anyways, this year. But it hurts to lose a title game. It hurts to lose any time to end the season. But there's 2 programs here, John, at South Carolina, 2 of the top 4. If you're talking about football, men's basketball, women's basketball, and baseball, that at this point in time, as we stand today, are essentially only judged on their postseason success, and that is the baseball program and the women's basketball program. I actually have the numbers here: 6th most Final Four appearances ever in women's basketball, 13th most bids all time for the women's program, and the 3rd most national titles. Baseball, 11th most College World Series appearances ever, 11th most postseason trips ever, and 7th most national championships ever. But the difference is the women's team is playing for national championships every year. The baseball team will be lucky to even make it into the postseason this year at this point in time. It's still remarkable, I think, to go back to about 15 years and think about everything that has changed at this university from the day that Coach Tanner won that first national championships and all that's followed.
Yeah. I mean that run is something that you just won't see replicated, and I mean that was a magical time to live through, and I'm glad I was there for it. I was working another full-time job back until February of 2010, and if I hadn't have decided to move on and work full-time with the Big Spur, I wouldn't have gotten to experience those things in person. I couldn't take off 2.5 weeks to go out and cover a baseball team out in Omaha, but that was some incredible moments. It feels like we're a little far away from them right now.
Just a tad. Yeah, just a little bit. We're going to get there. The men's portal. All right, so let's go back a few days to the news of Federico and Ugasuk entering the portal. I personally didn't have that on the radar. John, is there any scoop behind the scenes as to what transpired there and what's going to transpire next?
Yeah, it was basically that they just decided that they had been recruited past or didn't like the competition that was being brought in. And they decided to transfer. Is basically the long and the short of it. They weren't encouraged to leave. If they were, it would have happened, back when everybody else did. This was just one of those things where those guys felt like, they got recruited past and they probably did. So, I don't know where they'll end up. I don't know if they're a package deal, but that's a couple more spots that Lamont has to fill.
Yeah, it's the Federico thing's really interesting because they obviously, waited this whole thing out for him to get eligible. And I mean, he kind of hitched his wagon to the Gamecocks. I mean, didn't he have to get like cleared from a citizenship standpoint and all that, John? Don't I remember that right?
Yeah, I mean, it was mainly a documentation standpoint. So there were some hurdles to clear and some academic things to check off. I mean, it just took a while. And, to be honest, like I wasn't sure that they were going to stick with it. South Carolina was going to stick with it when he had such a tough time becoming getting cleared to come here. But they did, and they were going to stick with him. Lamont Paris believes in having some developmental players on the roster, and he still will. He's not trying to sign 15 starters out of the portal. So there's still going to be some developmental guys on the roster, and he wanted Oku to be one of those, this upcoming year, and it's just not going to work out that way. So I don't know where they'll end up, but that's basically the size of it. They felt like they were recruited past.
All right, let me ask you this. Obviously, with Colin Murray Boyles, I mean, the elephant in the room is where he's projected to go. If he's going to be a lottery guy and he's going to get a ton of money and all that type of stuff, he needs to go. And if he's not, then it probably muddies it up a little bit more, and maybe he needs to stay. Maybe he needs to go. Who knows? But there's a higher likelihood that he would stay at South Carolina if he's not a lottery guy. Is there anything in the reconstruction of the roster that could also be impacting his decision?
I don't think so much, to be honest. Like I think I'm sure he's making a decision based on what he wants, and not necessarily like he wants to win here. I mean, that's part of it for sure. But he trusts Lamont Paris is gonna put together a really good team around him. And I don't know that he's going to be sitting there evaluating each guy on whether he believes that guy is going to be good enough or not for him to come back. Like, that's playing a very minor role in all of this. Is much more about the draft and what he feels like from that standpoint, because he's very comfortable here. He likes it here a lot. Like, he wants to. He's not sure that he's ready to go play in the NBA yet. And, and he's enjoying college, and that's kind of what's driving the decision as it relates to him coming back. It's not necessarily about some other things that people may factor in. He's just comfortable here. And he's got some people who think right now the time is right, who say, you need to go, and those people probably are right. But at the end of the day, like, he's making a personal decision, and it's not going to be, if he comes back, it's not because the coaching staff has pressured him to come back. It's because he wants to be here. And we'll see how it plays out. I mean, I ultimately think he'll get drafted. He'll believe he'll get drafted high enough to go, and we'll end up being done at South Carolina. But if he comes back, like, he's got an opportunity to, cement himself as the best basketball player to come through here. So we'll see how it plays out.
Wow. I got one for both of you. Mike, I know you talked to so many coaches in the SEC. So the timeline in which these decisions were just specific to the CMB situation here, but obviously we could translate this to other situations around college basketball in general. But the timeline in which all of this is being done. So you've got an open portal, right? And South Carolina is trying to sign the best players that they possibly can to build the best roster they can and get back to the tournament. But a lot of this, obviously, what they're going to be after and looking for hinges around the future of Colin Murray Boyles, who's yet to make a decision. Have y'all gotten any feedback on, maybe from this coaching staff here at South Carolina or others across the league or wherever, about how all of this meshes together and how it affects them trying to reconstruct their rosters when it comes to players making decisions about going to the NBA versus staying and having to sign players out of the portal to replace them?
Well, I think specific to Carolina, they have to recruit assuming that Murray Boyles is going. They can't sit there and hope that he comes back, even though, as I mentioned a week ago, if not longer, that is a distinct possibility.
Yeah,
that is a distinct possibility, and there's a big difference between going, 23 versus 10, and a big difference between going in as a rookie and playing every day and living the life of an NBA player, which is a dream, versus playing in the G League in front of 700 people and living the life of a minor leaguer. And Murray Boyles is a very self-aware kid. He understands that. He doesn't just look at the best possible scenario. He looks at it all in complete scope. So, I think that there's still now. I mean, you've got, I don't know how many empty scholarships, John. They got room to bring on some guys.
5? Is it 5?
Is that what it is? Is it 5?
It was 4 if It's 4 if you include Murray Boyles on the roster.
Okay, so I mean,
Okay.
and if he left, then it would be 5, and you obviously have room to get what you need, which is a point guard, and then you could still get another big, and so on and so forth. So I don't think it's going to change their strategy a whole lot, Jamie, in terms of what they're trying. They're trying to get the best guys out there, and they're clearly being a lot more aggressive and clearly have a lot more financial resources to be active in the portal than they were a year ago. The two teams that did not make the tournament and turned down the NIT are both off to great starts. LSU and Matt McMahon, this is a huge year for Matt McMahon. He's tired of hearing about how good it was when Will Wade was there. They already got one of the best guards in the country in the portal out of UNLV. Why? Because just like Carolina, they're spending, double, if not more, than what they did in the previous couple of years. So they have used this time to do a complete revamp. And quite frankly, I think that's what Carolina needed.
Well, I think an added layer to this conversation, too, is that exact thing that you were just talking about, the money. I mean, for instance, like you got to kind of be careful how you say this because you don't want it to come off wrong. But, I mean, obviously, if CMB isn't back, right, John, then you're going to have some more NIL dollars available if you're going into the portal. I would just assume. But you're also not going to be like, golly,
about 1 million of them.
Yeah, right. So, but I don't want that to come off as like, well, we need his money, because no, you need Murray Boyles first and foremost if you can get him. So that's why I'm saying you got to be a little bit careful how you say it. But I would imagine if for some reason, essentially, he's not on the payroll, then that's going to change your approach in the portal too, right?
A little bit, probably not as drastic as you think.
Okay.
I think they've got a little bit of a plan in place, and some folks who will pay I don't know, let's call it a CMB tax, a little bit extra for Colin if Colin decided to come and then come back, and if he doesn't, then they'll probably keep that extra money in their pocket, if that makes sense. But I think there's certainly some extra dollars to spend if he doesn't come back, but I don't think it's going to be a dollar for dollar type deal from that standpoint.
Okay. Real quick, and Mike, we'll come back to more of this in hour 2, but today on Capitol Hill, there's a bunch of stuff going on as far as the House settlement and all of that, right? And the future of college sport. Matter of fact, today was kind of like deadline day, wasn't it? As far as guys who wanted to kind of get the old deal versus what the new deal is going to have to look like. How do we have any information that directly relating to South Carolina, how this will affect the current players on the roster and NIL deals versus players that they're attempting to sign?
We'll see we'll see what happens today. Like, I mean, if stuff goes down today, then that's when some of those things you bring up can happen. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. There's so many changes and so many different things that have happened. I'm just kind of like, wake me up when it's over.
I know.
I'm just not as well versed on that. I'll figure it out whenever it passes, because like I said, so much of it's changed. But it has to be signed or ratified or approved or whatever today before we worry about when deals have to be done. So we'll see what happens today.
You got anything to add on that, Mike? Have you heard anything?
I was distracted by the great horned owl in John's background there.
Is that a horned owl? Have you replaced the birds with a horned owl?
No, those are birds somewhere. I'm not sure where they're coming from, but
they're beautiful.
They better get their tweets in now, because the rains are coming here pretty shortly.
Well, yeah, it's a perfect setting for Masters Week. That's what you hear on the broadcast.
It's 100%. We just need the music and Jim Nantz to provide a little commentary and watch John feeding the birds, however he decides to do so. No, I don't have a whole. I'm like John. I am so just done with all of these details. Here's what I know, and here's where I probably differ from some. I don't believe that all of a sudden, because this is now revenue sharing and it's now quote unquote illegal to do NIL deals that are not true NIL deals. I still don't buy that. I still think the programs that have the most money out there are going to find an edge one way or another, and that money is going to find its way into the top players' hands, whether that's within the stipulations and the guidelines or not. The schools like Texas and Texas A&M and Arkansas when it comes to basketball, and Kentucky when it comes to basketball, and LSU when it comes to baseball. Like, I don't think we're getting away from that. I could be wrong, and part of me hopes I am, but I just don't.
That's going back under the table.
Right.
Bingo.
It's
right.
1,000% going back under the table, especially for these SEC basketball programs. Like the rev share for these basketball programs is going to be like $3-4 million. I mean, there's teams out there who are spending $10 million on their roster. You think they're just going to cut down from $8 million, $10 million down to $3? Especially when other programs out there who don't have football are still going to be spending $6, $7, $8 million on their basketball team. You think Texas A&M? You think Auburn's going to let that happen? No, it's going back under the table.
Yeah,
you're going to have under the table baseball players paid now,
right?
Like baseball players. I mean, baseball teams aren't getting $1 million in rev share. I mean, if you get $1 million of rev share in baseball, then your administration loves you. Or you don't have football, one of the two. But there's baseball rosters out there paying that have $4 and $5 million on there. You think they're going to go down to $1 million or less? No.
Right. Mike said it eloquently. You said it boldly. I think y'all are exactly right. I was having a conversation about this with somebody the other day. Everybody okay? Somebody breaking into your
Somebody's
house?
doing work outside.
Okay.
Try to get between that and the horned owls and everything else going on. You're a true pro. You're just going to cut through all the noise and continue.
Don't worry, it's good. I'll stay on track here. No, I just want to make sure that everything was good. Like you weren't going to get a bag thrown over your head or something.
I don't think so. But if I do, we've got witnesses. This is all on tape, and we can submit it to the DOJ and Cash Patel, and hopefully they'll track me down for a king's ransom.
They'll find you in no time. That's I was just having a conversation about this other day. I was like, bring back the McDonald's bags. Not that they ever went away. They didn't, but they'll be much more prevalent. I agree with you. You're already spending the money. Now we can only spend X amount of dollars, whatever.
Yeah. This whole idea that it's going to be a $22 million salary cap and everybody's going to have the same resources and then a little bit of NIL on top, but legitimate, true market value NIL, which is what we were told it would be when it first came into fruition. I just don't buy it. And I think that, again, the schools that have the most money in the coffers are going to attract the best players. They're going to get the best players in the portal. I don't think we're moving away from that. So it's not the wild, wild west. It's a little more, the chaos is a little more organized, but it's still chaotic in a lot of ways.
Well, you can't, and to your point too, and we'll move on to baseball here on this note, but to your point too, I am still baffled at how they think they're going to handle this fair market value deal, because you cannot come tell a private business. If I want John Whittle to endorse my business, and I think that, and even if I don't think it, but I say it, John, you to me are worth $1 million, and this is all I ask from you. But just your presence in endorsing us is $1 million to me out of my pocket. I'm giving it to you. I think that that's what you're worth. I don't know how somebody could come along and say, well, you can't pay him that because we determine what he's worth to you. You can't do that. I don't know how you can do it. I don't know how you can say fair market value in Columbia, South Carolina is going to be the same as fair market value in Auburn, Alabama. Those are two totally different economies. They're two totally different towns. I mean, I don't know how they're going to do this. So I don't know. We can spend 2 hours doing it. All right. Do I dare ask what the fair market value of Carolina's baseball team is right now? John, they got off to a Friday night win, and it got worse on Saturday, and it got a lot worse on Sunday in falling to the Bulldogs of Mississippi State.
Yes, I mean, I hate to start out by saying it, but Sunday's one of the worst games I've ever watched. I mean,
Yes,
that was
bad.
that was awful. I mean, there was there was nothing going on there. I mean, it looked like they were doing their best to get it over with, and that's kind of sad because you got a really winnable series, right there. I mean, you played pretty well Friday overall, and you did some okay things on Saturday at times, but Sunday was miserable. I mean, Sunday, and they looked miserable. Everybody looked miserable. The players looked miserable. The coaches looked miserable. Nobody looked like they wanted to be there. You've got a golden opportunity for a series win at Duty Noble Field. Mississippi State's not very good. They've got problems over there. The stadium was half empty. The fans were booing them on Friday night. I mean, I don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. That Sunday game was just so atrocious, and I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. They played well on Friday. Things didn't go their way Saturday. Not great game, but didn't play terribly. I was stunned. I was stunned at the level of effort and engagement on Sunday. I mean, there was a ball hit up the middle. The infielders were pinched into the middle, and it bounced 5 times and still got in between the 2 middle infielders. I don't. Neither one of them dove. Runners on base. I mean, you drop a fly ball out at the wall in center field, and I'm not blaming Nathan Hall for anything. Nathan Hall has been South Carolina maybe best player this year, but I was completely taken aback by what I watched on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean the one positive was obviously Matthew Becker. We'll see if that translates moving forward, and obviously, clearly, everybody hopes it does. 13 strikeouts and 27 at bats against a guy who hadn't virtually gotten anybody out in the SEC. If you ask me, Carson Ligon has been terrible for Mississippi State, and he looked like an All-American yesterday.
They had a 14 ERA in SEC play, and a little over 7, overall. And Maneri comes out after the game and is talking about how great of a pitcher they faced. Like, well, everybody else has hit them.
Yeah,
I mean, you got a hit on the first pitch of the game and the last pitch of the game, and that was it. And one walk in between. I mean, I haven't seen anything like that. Nathan Hall got a hit on the very first pitch of the game, hard ground ball through left side. And then Blake Jackson comes up and bloops a single into center field, tries to stretch it to a double, slides off the bag for the final out of the game. Got a hit on the very last pitch of the game too, and 2 base runners in between. Walk and hit by pitch, and the hit batter was Henry Kazmar, and he had to come out of the game because he was hurt. So, I mean,
John, have they exhausted the possible lineup changes at this point?
I mean, Ryan Bakes is a good player, and they haven't given him a shot at all. I don't know what Paul Maneri has against him. But I mean, yeah, for the most part.
Well, I was kind of asked a similar thing this morning, Mike, when I was on with Bill and Preston, and I don't know, honestly, it kind of echoes some of the things that John has said. Look, I'm not at practice every day, so I'm just not going to be the guy that comes over the top of coaches and tells you what you need to do, because I don't think that's my place to do it. But anytime you're really struggling to find it, I always feel like the best thing to do is go back to what you're most comfortable with and just stay there and just be consistent with it. It's at least the young guys who come to the park, or all of them really, but especially the young guys, at least they know what to expect when they show up. They know where they're going to hit, they know where they're going to play, and they know what they're going to be asked to do. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I do know this. A&M naturally, the weekend before the Gamecocks come to town, figured it out. They scored 26 runs against the Vols on Saturday in a doubleheader sweep of them. That ain't a good sign.
Run rule in both games.
Yeah. I mean, just
it's a weird year, man. I mean, you look at the standings, and everybody knew Missouri would be awful. Florida, a team that went to Omaha last year, 1-11. A&M, a team that was number 1 in the country, 3-9. I can't imagine Lamonis is going to be able to survive much longer with another poor year in Starkville. They're 3-9. Vanderbilt's 7-5. They haven't had the same mojo since the NIL era began. And then at the top, it's kind of the usual suspects: Arkansas, Texas, LSU, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know, John. You got any more? You got any answers?
We want the truth, Whittle.
I mean, I was watching a little bit of that Tennessee Texas A&M game on Saturday night, and sheesh, I was not expecting 7 home runs out of the Aggies. They got that thing. I mean, maybe it was just one day, but that one day may have just jump started them, just in time for the Gamecocks to go into College Station this weekend. I feel to put it back on South Carolina a little bit. I feel bad for Ethan Petrie. He can't get any help behind him. I hadn't had a chance to publish this yet on the site, but in SEC or in ACC games, the players behind him are hitting 200 on the year.
Bingo. What was my biggest concern coming into this season?
God.
What was going to be the production hitting behind Ethan Petrie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been woeful. That's a problem.
12 of 60.
Yeah, it's bad.
And not a whole lot of damage numbers either, right?
I don't think so. I didn't go back through and add those up at 2:30 in the morning last night.
Slacker.
Yeah. There have been 5 guys who have hit behind him, and the best one has been KJ Scobie. I mean, that's who I'd be rocking with, and I said it before I even did the numbers, but that's who I'd be rocking with there. I mean, he's played 4 games. He's hitting 286 behind Ethan. That's by far the best numbers. So, I mean, I feel bad for Ethan, and you can see it on Ethan. Like Ethan, God love him, he's not great at hiding his emotions. You can see that he's getting a little frustrated, and I tell you, when at the end of last season, we talked a fair amount, and I mean, I can't tell you how much he wants to win here, and not just win, but win at South Carolina. Like Ethan loves this place, and he had every opportunity in the world to transfer and make 4 times the money that he's making at South Carolina. But he wants to win here, and it's not happening for him, and it's not happening for him right now as an individual. So because he's got 2 extra base hits in 12 games in SEC play. Like he's not getting any pitches, and even when he's getting some, he's not on it right now. And hopefully it turns for him.
That's when you start chasing too. I got to ask you, since you were there, I've been there many times, including the new ballpark, which is phenomenal. The new Duty Noble and Baum Stadium, to me, it's really not even close. Those two are top notch. What is the buzz like? I think Gamecock fans can look at Mississippi State and be like, oh, shoot, it's not just us. They won a national championship just a few years ago, not 10 years ago, not 12, a few years ago. They have every resource imaginable. It is a baseball school in every sense of the word. No lack of NIL funds, no lack of anything. They hired one guy as coach who was a meathead and got busted doing all kinds of inappropriate stuff. If I'm not mistaken, that was a John Cohen hire, who was a really good coach for many years. And then they hire Ramones. He wins the title, and now they're really struggling yet again. So what when you were there, what was the talk like among Bulldog fans?
Yeah, I mean they're not pleased. I mean I think they're counting down the days right now. Like there was a lot of booing after the game on Friday night, and there wasn't. I know the weather was bad on Sunday, but there wasn't hardly anybody there. It wasn't half full. It was not what I expected Duty Noble to be, and that's another reason why I say that that South Carolina missed a golden opportunity.
John, I gotta let you run, brother. Appreciate everything that you do, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Ask
sir.
Teddy to break down the infield fly rule in the opening segment, if you might.
I'll do it. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, man.